I asked you guys to leave me your questions for this video, and I posted on YouTube, Facebook and Instagram, not thinking I would get that many people asking me questions, but I actually got so many. So I'm going to be answering all of your art and life related questions, and while I do, I'm going to paint something. I think it's probably a good idea if we start fairly chill and maybe get into the tougher questions as we go. The first question comes from Annie and Erica. They both wanted to know the same question, and that was, what is your favorite tattoo and its meaning? I often forget that I have tattoos. They're kind of just like part of me now. Definitely, this is probably one of my favorites. It is a octopus coming out of a fishbowl. I don't really know if it has a super deep meaning. I guess the idea of that is that it's sort of breaking out of this fishbowl, breaking out of its like little mold, I suppose. This tattoo is by an artist called Riza Boo on Instagram. I got it in Glasgow. Okay, at Zapfirsipa. I'm so sorry about that. Can you please mention some of your favorite artists, both living and non-living? One artist that I absolutely love is Annie Steg Gerard. I think she creates just these beautiful, fantastical lands, and it's just so glowy and perfect for her fantasy creation. So I love her work. I have a couple of her prints. Also love the artwork of Audrey Kawasaki. She was someone who, when I first started creating art, you know, when I was a sort of a young, like teenager, early 20s, I saw her works on wood panel and her paintings, and I just think they're stunning. So Audrey Kawasaki is another person that I absolutely love. Miley Weir asks, you're constantly coming out with new artworks. How do you find the inspiration? Do you ever burn out? The answer is I never let myself get to a point where I feel burnt out. Right now, today, for example, not feeling super high energy, and I know that that is a day when I am not going to create any art. I've definitely learnt to be able to read myself and read how I'm feeling. Obviously, sometimes we have deadlines and I have to paint even when I might not feel like it, but if I can get away with it, if I do not feel like painting, I won't. Where do I find the inspiration? I paint the same things over and over again. I feel like I don't know if my inspiration ever really strays much further than the small little group of animals that I love to paint. Every now and again I am kind of struck with crazy new ideas. Like the other day I saw a leaf on the ground and I saw, just for one flash of a second, I saw all these beautiful colors in the leaf, and a painting was born. Leeway also asks, other than art and painting, do you watch movies or read books? If so, what are your favorites? I don't really do anything. I paint. I used to like movies, I used to watch movies. Sometimes I watch like random YouTube stuff, but not really that much. To be honest, I kind of just sit and paint. And then when I go home, I think about painting. And in the evenings, I do all of my admin for my business. And then I paint during the day. So my whole life is basically this. I do play The Sims, though. So every now and again, when I feel like I want to unwind and de-stress, I load up my little Sims and build a house. Okay, Remy the Tuxedo Cat asks, do you hand draw the animals from a photo or just from memory maybe? They always look amazing. Thank you so much. I do use photos most of the time, but now that I have, painted a lot of turtles or a lot of kookaburras or a lot of kingfishers, I kind of know how they look, and so I will maybe change them a little bit to suit the idea that I have for the painting. I also freehand all of my designs. I used to use like a grid method to transfer my image onto the canvas, but I freehand everything. I feel like it helps me start the creation process, Creative Flow Art asks, what really makes your heart sing? Like, what specifically makes you think, this is what I'm living for? Wow. That is a beautiful question. Here recently at the markets, there's been a few days that have been just so incredibly positive, where the interactions with people have been beautiful, not like, not about money or about sales or about my business or about my husband, nothing like that. Like, just incredible interactions, incredibly positive feelings from other people. So yeah, I suppose it's like the little things that really make you remember just how magical like life is, just little moments. It's not very profound, but yeah. Marcus asks, what was the moment you realized art was something you had to do, not just wanted to do? That's a great question. I remember being about 17 or 16, and I was choosing the classes for my next year of school. My dad really urged me to continue with maths, and I said to him, I don't need maths, I'm going to be an artist. So I suppose when I was 17, I don't know if I consciously knew that I needed to do art, but I knew that I didn't need to do maths because I was going to do art. I can do maths, by the way, now, just so you know. Alina asks, how do you price your artwork? Great question, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I told a lovely visitor to my art gallery just last week. The price is based per square inch of the canvas size. So that price is based off of artworks that have sold already. So I had a handful of a certain size painting that sold for a certain price, and that showed me essentially that was the right price for that size, and so I based that price per square inch. I use that across the board with everything. I use price per square inch because it takes a lot of the emotion out of trying to price your artwork, and it's hard to look at it objectively, so that's why I like to go with the price per square inch, because it's just a mathematical equation. Alina also asks, what's your process for choosing color schemes? I love orange. It's kind of like my thing. I need to have that orange yellowy color in everything I create because I feel like that color is me. And so I basically base everything off of the fact that I'm going to use that orangey, I'm going to use these orangey, yellowy, red colors in every painting that I create, and I need to be able to balance that because I know that it's not everyone's favorite color, so how can I use it in a palatable way that is also appealing to you guys? And so I use a lot of complementary colors that work with those orangey reds that I love to use, and I have to use orange, and so how can I make orange work? Ryan has asked, how do you know when a piece is done? Great question, Ryan. I am incredibly impatient and I get bored. Luckily, I'm not one of these artists that spends ages fiddling around at the end. I know that I could go back and forth and keep refining a lot of my artworks, but I feel like it gets to a point and I say, okay, I gotta finish this. An aspiring Daria has asked, how difficult is it to have a viable art business today when there's so much exposure and threat of AI or any other form of imitation? I think it's incredibly viable. I don't necessarily see AI as a real risk for artists and creators. I understand how AI is using artists' work, but for specifically like original art, like what I create, people are always going to want to feel a connection with something. And I mean, I've seen AI art and there's no depth, there's no emotion, there's no, there's no soul. And I think people who love art are always going to see that soul in something. So yeah, I think it's incredibly viable. Shana asks, how are you so beautiful? Thank you, darling. Carly has asked, best advice for an artist who wants to grow their business but has no idea how. I don't really know how either. I just do stuff and it works and sometimes it doesn't work. That is the best advice I can give you, is try new stuff, get out of your comfort zone, go to a local market, get involved with a local art community if you have one. Put yourself out there online, especially share your story, share your process, like we were just talking about with AI, like all of this AI nonsense and seeing all these fake images. People want real stuff, so be real, be yourself. Okay, and the last question I will leave you on is from Amy. And she has asked me, was the other art fair worth it from a sales/financial perspective? That's funny this question came up. I kind of lost money, when you include the booth costs and the travel down there, as well as accommodation, food, etc., etc. Although a few of my paintings did find new homes there, I, ultimately did lose a little bit of money. But that's okay. I think I learned some valuable lessons, met some wonderful people, and gained some experience as an artist in one of these things. I have been tossing up whether or not to do the Brisbane art fair, and I have just actually sent my application in last night. So right now I'm saying yes, I will be doing the other art fair in Brisbane, which will be on November 6th to 9th. But I'm probably going to run it a little bit differently this time and have some smaller artworks plus prints, as well as making it largely about promotion for my little art gallery that I have here. Definitely something you should try once, or if you're like me and you think, okay, the first time round wasn't my best shot, I've learned some stuff, we're going to go for round 2 and see if we can improve and use the skills that I now have this time around. Okay, thank you so much for all of your questions. I hope that I gave good answers. I don't know. I tried to think about them. I had a couple days to look through the questions and think about answers. But anyway, if you have any other questions that weren't answered here, leave them in the comments below. I'll reply to you with my answer. So yeah, anyway, thank you. Okay, bye.